We cap of Daf 100a Daf Meseches Bava Kamma. This is Bava Kamma Daf 100a. The Gemara is bringing a teaching of Rav Yosef in terms of lifnim mishuras hadin. It says in the pasuk, this is in Sefer Shemos V'odata, that refers to Beis Chayehem, as Rashi says. Beis Chayehem is Talmud Torah. That part of the pasuk refers to the learning of Torah. Then the pasuk goes on to say Es Haderech Zukamilas Chasadim. When the pasuk says the way, that refers to doing Chesed. When it says Yelchu Zu Bikar Cholim, when it says the word Yelchu, that refers to visiting the sick. When it says the word Ba Zu Kavura, when it says the word Ba, it refers to burial. As Hamasa, when it says the words As Hamasa, Zehadin, that refers to justice. And finally, Asher Yasun, when it says in the pasuk Asher Yasun, Zu Lifnim Mishuras Hadin, that refers to going beyond the letter of the law. And Rashi explains, Bikar Cholim Ukvura, again visiting the sick, burial, Parchinon Be'elu Metzias. They ask the following question in Babba Metzia and Eila Metzias, Haino Gemilas Chasadim, isn't Bikar Cholim and Kvura, isn't that the same as Gemilas Chasadim? Umuki Labe Bikar Cholim Ben Gilo V'not Alechem Mishishim B'chalyu. The Gemara says that Bikar Cholim is talking specifically about somebody who's a Ben Gilo, which essentially means that when you visit that person, you take 1/60th of his illness. Ukavura, when it talks about burial, Bezaken Ve'en Lefi Chavodo, the person dealing with the burial is an older person. It's not something that normally would be considered in accordance with his level of honor. The point is, even in these situations, when it goes beyond the normal situation, the person is still chayiv. In any case, we see from this pasuk, and we see from this teaching of Rav Yosef, the source for lifnim mishuras hadin. And the Gemara continues, Reish Lakish achvi le dinara l'Rebbe Lazar. Reish Lakish showed a dinar to Rebbe Lazar. Amar, so Rebbe Lazar said, Ma'al Yehu, this is a good coin. Amar le, so then he said to him, Chazi da'alach samchina. You should see that I'm relying on you. You're telling me it's a good coin, so I'm going to take this coin and assume it is good. Amar le, so he said back to him, Ki samachta lai mai, just because you're relying on me, what's the difference? L'meimra, do you mean to say, Di mishtakach bisha bo'ino lechlufe loch, that if it turns out that this is a bad coin, then I need to exchange it, that I'm responsible to you? Va'atu da'amr, but aren't you the one who said, Rabbi Meir who dedoin dina de garmi? You said that Rabbi Meir is the one that judges cases of garmi. My love, aren't you saying Rabbi Meir v'lo svir lam kevase? Weren't you saying that Rabbi Meir holds of garmi, but we don't hold like Rabbi Meir? Isn't that what you meant? And so therefore, I am not responsible, says Rebbe Lazar to Reish Lakish. And the Gemara says, Amar le, Reish Lakish said back to him, Lo, no. Rabbi Meir usvir lam kevase. Rabbi Meir is the one who judges garmi, even these kind of indirect cases of damages. We say that you're chayiv like Rabbi Meir, and we actually hold like Rabbi Meir in that regard. And the Gemara continues, hey Rabbi Meir, where do we find this Rabbi Meir, that Rabbi Meir is the one who is doin dina de garmi? Ilaim Rabbi Meir detnan. If it's the Rabbi Meir in the following Mishnah, it says, Don es hadin, let's say somebody's a judge, he judges the case, Zika es chayev, chayev es azakai, and he ends up messing up the case. He says the person is chayev, is actually innocent. He says the person that is innocent is actually guilty. Or time es atar, tir es atame, or let's say he says something pure is impure, or something that is impure, he says it's pure. The halacha is masha asa asi, that ruling which he ruled is considered official. However, via shalim mibeso, however, he does need to pay. He has to pay for the damage, so to speak, that he did. And so this seems to be a case of garmi. The judge, through his action of issuing a ruling, has actually caused this kind of damage. And we assume a stam mishnah is Rabbi Meir. So you see that Rabbi Meir is doin dina de garmi. The Gemara says, though, this is not a good source. So itmar Allah, it was actually learned on this mishnah. Amar Rabbi Law, Amar Rav, that Rabbi Law said, that Rav said, v'usha natal v'nasan biyad, that it's not simply a case of garmi. He actually did it with his hands. There was actually damage biyadayim. Now Rashi here will explain. Rashi says, shenasa v'nasan biyad, meaning in each of these cases, it's not just that the judge ruled incorrectly, the judge actually did an action which caused damage to the party that was wronged. Let's say, for example, Vizika es chayev. How could it be a case where he says somebody who's chayev, he says is innocent? The case could be as follows: Shayelo mashkon lemalva mimenu, that the person was actually holding he was actually holding a collateral. V'notan dayin lemashkon v'chziru lelova, and the judge with his hands took that collateral and gave it back to the borrower. So there he actually did an action. It wasn't just that the ruling was incorrect. He actually did something, and therefore that's not garmi. You could have a chayiv es hazakai. Sometimes he could take someone who's innocent and make him chayiv. That would be natal biyad. The judge actually took with his own hands mamon min hanitzvah v'shilim l'tovei. He actually took money from the person being claimed from and gave it to the person making the claim. V'timei es hatar. You have a case where he made something pure impure. Natal sheretz biyadayim. The judge actually took a sheretz which was tamei, and he took it v'zarku aleh l'tamon. He threw it on there to make it tamei vadai, so that it would certainly be tamei. Lahachzik devarav. That was a way of strengthening his ruling. V'tira satami. The case where where he makes something tamei tahar, that could be as follows: Natal hadayin leperos tameim. The judge took the fruits which actually were tamei, but he had ruled that they're tahar. Ve'irvonim shar peros ish hasholam, and then he mixed them up with the other fruits, and so therefore, in that sense, he was saying he was ruling it was tahar, but now they're all mixed up. Now he caused damage. This would actually be doing it with his hands. It's considered straight damage. It's not garmi. And so all of this is explained in Meseches Sanhedrin. And so the Gemara continues, Rabbi Meir, rather the source that Rabbi Meir holds of garmi is from the following Mishnah, the Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, he hires someone to dye the fabric red, and instead the person dyes it black, or he hires him to dye it black, and he ends up doing it red. Rabbi Meir says, no sin lo demate smaros. Over there, he has to give him the value of the wool. So maybe that's a situation of garmi. And the Gemara says, of course that's not garmi. Hasam over there, ka'avid biyadayim. He's doing it actively. And since he's doing it actively, that certainly would not be counted as garmi. Now Tosas over here says, Shani hasam deviyadayim of it. It's a wonder. What's even the question? Of course he's doing it biyadayim. He's actually taking the wool and dyeing it the wrong color. Where's the havamin of the Gemara? Why should the Gemara even think that that is garmi? So it could be that the Gemara thought that the wool doesn't change colors immediately when you put it in the dye. It takes 2 or 3 days for the color to actually attach to the fabric. So that's why that's why the Gemara thought that would be considered like a grama, like a garmi. Similar to the case of kilayim we're about to have, that also it takes some time for the kilayim to grow. In both cases, the Gemara will ultimately say that's considered biyadayim. It's not considered garmi. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Meir, rather it's the Rabbi Meir of the following Mishnah that holds of garmi. The Tanan, as we learned in a Mishnah, this is the case that Tosas just quoted. If somebody drapes the grapevine over the grain of his friend, that's a situation where he's causing kilayim. That's considered causing kilayim, and his chayiv, that's considered a form of damage. And the Gemara again says, Hasam nami kavod biyadayim. There also, again, it's not considered to be indirect. It's not garmi, rather it's considered to be actual damage, direct damage. And Rashi explains, Kidesh asr satvu. Again, Kidesh means by kilayim, we use the word Kidesh to say that one forbids the grain. And again, in this case, it's not a case of garmi either. And the Gemara continues, Alahar Rabbi Meir, rather it's the following Rabbi Meir. The Tanyas we learned in a Brisa, Mechitzas hakerem shenifert. So let's say you have a wall by a vineyard. The wall also is a separation. When you have the wall there, it ends up that it's not kilayim, but let's say that wall is breached. Rashi says, Mechitzas hakerem kaimalon haya geder ben tayim, zes somech zroim legeder mikan, v'zes somech kefanim legeder mikan below yachbor. It says in Babba Basra that if you have a wall between 2 fields, so then it's no problem for one side to plant his seeds right up against the wall, right to the fence, and the person who has the vineyard can plant his vineyard right up to the fence. Now, if there's no fence, that's a problem. They have to separate by a certain amount of space. But as long as there is a fence over there, they can go right up to the fence. And the issue over here is that there's a breach in the fence, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Amud Beis.